All right, we're back. It's another Carolina podcast. Recruiting extravaganza. The early signing period starts tomorrow. We are obviously less than 24 hours away. I don't know when it officially starts. Is it like 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 4 a.m.?
Yeah, 7.
Midnight, 7 a.m.? Okay, cool. So we're 22 hours away from the early signing period. Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, Pearson Fowler, Bill Gunner will all be on 107.5. I'm Pearson Fowler. I don't know why I refer to myself in the third person. We're all going to be on 107.5 The Game doing the recruiting extravaganza, Gamecock Central takeover of 107.5 The Game from 9 until noon, keeping you up to date with all the letters of intent that are signed as they roll in, any other recruiting news that breaks. So if y'all want to keep up with it, obviously keep up with these guys on Twitter, at GC Chris Clark, at Wes Mitchell GC, and listen to 107.5 The Game tomorrow from 9 until noon, and we'll have everything for you, including live interviews. We got to talk to a bunch of guys last year, Ryan Helinski, John Dixon, a couple other guys. So it's a lot of fun, and we're here to give you the ultimate primer, everything that you're going to need to know to be in the know for tomorrow, because otherwise, if you just tune in and you don't know what's going on, you're going to feel lost, and you're going to be embarrassed in front of all your friends, because they're going to have listened, and they're going to know what's up, and you're not.
We do have one really good interview already completely locked in, probably for the first hour.
I don't even know about this, so this is great. I'll ask you after the podcast, and everyone else can wait.
Should we tell everyone
tomorrow.
Or make them wait?
No, we'll make them wait.
Yeah.
Okay. But
at least until the end of the podcast.
Okay.
All right, cool. So first things first, before we get into some of the specific guys, let's look at Carolina's class as a whole. Right now, and recruiting rankings, you can argue with them in terms of like where exactly they are, if Carolina's 18, 19, 20, whatever, but South Carolina is somewhere in the high teens, low 20s. I think the consensus kind of number right now is 19, based on all the guys that have committed. The 72-hour window, I don't know how much is going to surprise Carolina fans, the Carolina staff, but that being said, how much room is there for South Carolina to move, I guess, hopefully up, but possibly down from where they are right now?
Well, right now on Rivals.com, you look at the team rankings, they're 21st. The thing about team rankings that's tough to calculate is that, we can take hypotheticals and say, okay, if South Carolina adds this guy and that guy, or if they add both of these guys, and of course there's still the February signing period too, so none of this will be locked in terms of where they fall, but you could say even if South Carolina adds these two, they're going to add this many points, and that will move them up to this point total. Well, it's not exactly accounting for, who does Georgia add? Who does Penn State add? Who does Tennessee, Texas? All these schools that are above South Carolina, or even some below, Mississippi State, Stanford, Iowa, Kentucky. What guys do they add? Because then you weigh it all together, and that's, of course, how the rankings come out. But right now, South Carolina's 21st. And, just to give a general idea, like right now, South Carolina has 19 commitments, and you look at how they're counted, it's 1 5-star, Marshawn Lloyd, 3 4-stars, and 14 3-stars. They've got a chance tomorrow to add another 3-star and the potential to add a 5-star. So that would give them 2 5-stars. That's obviously going to give you a pretty big bump. But you look at, say, Georgia. They've got a lower number of commitments, which has affected their point total. They got 15, but they have 3 5-stars, 10 4-stars. They're up at number 14. So South Carolina's not, going to jump them. So when you look at how high can they go, can they get into that top 15, whether it's tomorrow or eventually by February? Yes. But right now you couldn't say they'll go much higher. As to how much they could slip, that's a little bit harder to tell. I mean, maybe a couple spots. I don't think they're going to slip significantly, when you're just looking at what's going to happen tomorrow. But they got a chance to move up a little bit, I think.
So you're expecting that by the end of the early signing period, South Carolina will have 19 guys in this class, leaving them 6 spots for February and in between?
Right now they've got 19.
Right.
So right now they got 19. By the end of the early period, your ideal scenario is to have 21 commitments. And then you've got to consider that, you've got some guys that are counted, from the grad transfer market. So, just the straight transfer market. But
yeah, so three guys that were already on campus had to already have counted towards this class, basically. So your Tavian Feasters, your Nick Muse, your Matt Oliveri, they all 3 had to count towards this class.
Okay, so Carolina can only sign 22 here.
Total.
Yes. Okay.
Total.
Right.
And there is some flex. How are they going to do it, right? Because they've got more than 3 targets left. There's There's room for flexibility there. Some guys, most of the class, again, is going to sign tomorrow on Wednesday. There are some guys that, for various reasons, are not going to sign. And so, for instance, we haven't even added Zaquandre Wright to the commitment list because he's a February guy. Just sort of wait. Daquan Stewart's not going to sign until February. Alex Huntley, all indications are he is solid, but he's also going to wait. That makes total sense. I mean, he's a summer enrollee. Hammond, you can't graduate early. Just wait it out. So there's a few of those situations, and then South Carolina has also the potential to, get a little bit creative with the numbers down the stretch, and it just depends on some of the guys that they're going to land or have a chance to land between now and February, the late signing period.
There is a great truism when it comes to college football recruiting, and it is that the numbers will always work out.
Always make them work. I think this is good that I'm hosting this because I know so little about recruiting. I'm going to ask all the questions that hopefully some of our listeners, although some of our listeners no doubt know more about recruiting than I do. So I might ask some dumb questions over the course of this thing, even though I did this with y'all last year. I did this with y'all through the entire offseason. I don't know why I still haven't figured out this recruiting game. But South Carolina, as you mentioned, 1 5-star, 3 4-stars right now committed, and several more 5 and 4-star targets. So what is the realistic high end for South Carolina to finish this class with in terms of 4 and 5-star guys? Because I'm someone that of late, I know that football is a developmental game, but I know that football is also all about recruiting. And ever since I read, I don't remember where it was written, but somebody wrote something about the blue chip ratio and looking at all the national champions and the percentage of the roster that was 4 and 5-star guys. And so I'm always just kind of monitoring how close South Carolina is to that number. Obviously, you mentioned 4. There's a couple more targets. You mentioned Boogie Huntley is a 4-star guy. He's not expected to, I guess, put pen to paper until February, but still counting a part of the class. So what do you think? Is Carolina going to finish with 6 4 and 5-star guys, 7, 8?
What did you say it was right now?
I guess 4 because they have
1
Lloyd
5-star
and the
and
other
3 4-star guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, and the rankings will get updated again.
Yeah, rankings.
So,
we'll go with the current rankings. Obviously, the guy everybody wants to talk about, wants to hear about, that we'll hit later on is Jordan Birch. So that was one potential 5-star. Jaheim Bell is more of a high 3-star player that South Carolina has had as a top target. We feel, I think, good about where they are with him, but wouldn't necessarily hit your 4 or 5-star sort of threshold there. There's some other guys, Zaquandre White, who's not listed yet on the commitment list. If everything checks out with him, I think they're continuing to monitor, just his overall situations, his grades, academic stuff like that. He could potentially get added to the list. Reggie Grimes, who, is currently committed to Oklahoma, but looks like he very well could push his decision back to February. That'd be, what are we at, 3 now? You look at, Henry Parrish is a guy that's still out there at running back. But if we're sort of handicapping this thing, there's no way that you're going to officially add Zaquandre White and
you're not going to
Parrish.
Get 4 running backs.
Yeah, so one of the 2 potentially. And then, they're still after Malik Heath. That's a guy that they've sort of quietly worked, and I still think it'd be a little bit of a surprise if they got him. Chris, I don't know about you.
But
he is a 4-star guy, junior college receiver, who we sort of continue to track, committed to Mississippi State, looking at Florida, looking at South Carolina. I would say realistically, what do you think, Chris? 3 as in potentially Jordan Birch. Yeah. Potentially Jordan Birch. Potentially one of the 4-star running backs.
Yep.
And then potentially Reggie Grimes.
Yeah, I think that would get, and so that would push that number to 7.
Yeah, and I think we both feel good about where they stand with Jaheim Bell. He'd be a high 3-star. Then I really think they're going to add Jakari Caldwell in February from everything I've heard. That's the rising Northwestern receiver. He'll get a bump in the rankings, I believe, but I think it'll be more like a 3-star.
I think right now he's listed as a 2-star, so I guess that bump would be 3. But as we sit here and talk about this, do y'all believe in the blue chip ratio?
Yeah.
I do. What were you about to say?
Well, I was going to say and I know we said we're going off the current rankings, but just something to keep in mind is I think Eric Shaw probably has a chance to move up to 4-star status.
Yeah.
Really big senior year. He was impressive at the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. He's already been on the cusp as a 5.7 3-star, so right on the line. So, could be some adjustments there. But, no, I mean, you look, I was just looking through. I mean, there are, I think 16 schools right now that have a 5-star committed in the country, that have one 5-star at least. Now, a lot of those are name brand programs. Some are not as much. South Carolina is one of them. Kentucky's one of them. But, you get a lot of, you got Clemson, LSU, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, A&M, Florida, Auburn. Schools like that. Washington, Oregon, Notre Dame, Texas, Stanford. Those are the schools. Now, other schools obviously have a chance between now and February to add one or even multiple 5-stars. And some of these others that already have one committed might add more, And so...
But there aren't even that many, right? I realized that in the spring when we were doing, I guess, some other kind of recruiting podcast, maybe for National Signing Day, but there ended up being how many in this class at this point? 25?
Yeah, there's typically 25 to 30. Now, there's somewhere in the 30 range this year, is what you've got. And so, but yeah, to answer your question, look, if you sign a top 5, top 10 class, and sometimes your number, Clemson has not always signed the number 1 class in the country. They might this year, but it would be the first, really. I know, since I can remember. Wes, do you remember one? I don't think they've ever signed the number 1 class. They may actually do it this year because this year they've got the star power and the numbers. Sometimes they've signed a 14, 15, 18-man class. Given that you can, in the team rankings, you can count the top 20 guys, that's going to, dock your points sometimes. But, if you sign a top 5, top 10 class year after year after year, your chances of being good go way up. Now, it's not just because, guys aren't running around on the field going, oh, man, I'm a 5-star. That means I'm good. No, it's just, it's just a byproduct. A lot of times your guys that are 5-star players, high 4-star players, everybody wants them, and that's because they're really good players. And so you can, if you do that, you've got a better chance. Now, remember Florida State back in the day when they fell off, they were still bringing in really talented classes on paper, but the problem was some of the guys were overrated. They recruited some guys with a high bust rate, the personalities, the types of guys they were recruiting. So you got to have that balance. But if you told me every year you can sign the number 6 class 4 years straight, or you could throw that out the window and take your chances with number 25, 30, obviously you pick the top 10 class.
Yeah, I think, and this may sound weird coming from someone who covers recruiting and has been in this for a long, long time, but I don't necessarily believe in recruiting rankings for an individual prospect.
Mm-hmm.
I think
y'all complain about them a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think there's so many variables that contribute to whether a guy is successful or not. That you really can't account for at all times. You can try to, but you can't. And you're talking about evaluating so many guys that you're not seeing that player every day. You're not seeing them every week because it's impossible to see every player every week. So then the people that maybe do see a player every single week that are maybe in that town or on that coaching staff, they maybe have a better feel for if this guy's going to be, good or not at the next level. But then they're probably biased because they all think their guy is really good. So there's no science to it necessarily.
It's an art.
Yes, but I think so. Individual, I think it's very easy to be like, oh, well, that's a 5-star and he was a bust, and it's very easy to be like, oh, that guy's a 2-star and he was a first-round pick. Anybody can sort of pick and choose. I think the totality, that's why I sort of do like the blue chip ranking, because it's more about what have you done overall. How many? If you stack enough of these guys, then you got a pretty good chance to be pretty good. Now, like Chris said, if you sign a bunch of guys who just aren't good kids or don't work hard and stuff like that, then you probably have a culture issue within your program. You have to sort of balance out all these other factors.
And that's how you end up with Florida State.
Yeah, but make no mistake, you have I think the upside potential of your program is infinitely higher if you have a bunch of guys who athletically are capable of doing what you need to do to compete week in, week out, as opposed to having guys that athletically just are not able to do the things needed.
All right, Chris, you have the recruiting rankings pulled up, it looks like. I saw you scrolling through something.
Yes, sir.
Who has the number 8 class in the country right now?
All right, number 8 currently. I will bring that up for you.
This is the most
Just
epic
pick one.
build-up ever. Auburn is the number 8 class in the country right now. Okay. What is their composition of 4 and 5 star guys compared to 2 and 3 star guys?
1 5-star, the 20 total commitments, which is the max cap, but your 20 highest ranked guy, but they've got 20 anyway. So 1 5-star, 8 4-stars, 11 3-stars. So your average star ranking is 3.5.
So Carolina is approximately 4 or 5 4-star prospects per class away from being in that top 10 kind of range.
Yeah.
Because I guess Auburn would be right at that blue chip because 9 out of the 20 guys they're counting are 4 and 5 star guys, which is, I guess a little bit below because you're talking about a class of 25 or maybe it's 23 or 24. I don't know the exact number for Auburn this year, but they're even still like just a little bit below that, but would still get you into that top 10 where you're talking about being competitive.
And like Oregon's number 11, they're behind Auburn, but they've got 1 5-star and 9 4-stars. They got more, so.
But they also have they have the number 1 recruit in the country, right? And the offensive lineman that committed.
No,
doing something.
The number 1 guy is Breesy now on Rivals, right? Yeah, Brian.
Well, there was a guy that had the whole
Clemson.
TV special. It was like a halftime of some basketball game, maybe.
You got me on that.
No lineman. Didn't Oregon get a no lineman that was very, very highly? Was that last year? Maybe. I don't know.
It's not this year. They've got their top guy this year. I think is Sewell, the linebacker from I think Utah, is their top guy this year. They do have a 5-star, but yeah. Another thing you got to consider is like you go, well, how is Oregon behind? They have. How are they behind Auburn? Auburn. Your 4 stars. You've obviously got a big. You can go from about number 35 to 250. And then below even, there's 10 or 20 guys who are 4 stars who are not in the Rivals 250. So you got, the top, out of the top, say call it 275. The top 275 guys, about 25 to 35 of them every year are going to be 5 stars. The rest of them are 4. So not all those guys are really created equal. Your upper echelon 4-star, even in the team rankings, are going to be worth a lot more than a 4-star that's not in. You know what I'm saying? In that top 250.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how they stagger the rankings.
So can we do a little sidebar? Because I don't understand this. And again, this is where hopefully those of you listening aren't bored because you already know this. There is a scoring. There is an objective metric. These guys, if it's a 4 and 5-star guy, they have like a 15-digit number. It's like, 15,000 decimal places or whatever. And y'all have explained that part of it. Is it just as simple as adding all of these guys' composite scores together and then whoever has the highest number has the best class, and you organize it like that?
Yeah, so basically the team rankings formula is just each guy in the class is worth a certain number of points. So there's a baseline, a 5-star is worth this number of points. Mm-hmm. And then, there's sort of a subset of if the guys rank between number 1 and number 5 overall, you get a certain number of bonus points. It's like take a 4-star. If he's a 5.9 4-star, because 4-star goes from 5.8 to 6.0. There's like a little sub-ranking in there. So if you got a 5.9 4-star, it's worth this number of points. If he's ranked between number 130 and 200, say, depending on which spot, certain number of bonus points. So then you add all that together, you take the top 20 highest-ranked guys, and then you're good to go. Just add it together.
So what's Auburn's score?
Auburn right now is... They have 2,184 points.
2,184. And
yeah.
What's Carolina's score?
1,738.
Okay, so they're a ways off, like 400 points.
Yep.
All right, cool. So there you go. There's math for you. I hope you aren't listening to this in the morning because the morning is not the right time to be doing math. Wes, you started to hit on this already a little bit, so we'll jump into some of the individual guys. Carolina has 19 committed right now. They, I guess, theoretically can sign as many as 22. Some of the uncommitted targets for South Carolina that will be making a decision one way or the other, we think, in the next 3 days. You already mentioned Malik Heath, but we're not going to start with him. 1, because you already mentioned him, and 2, because he's not the most interesting name on the list. Jordan Burch, whose name we very intentionally avoid on this podcast for the rest of the year, because very little information on him. Keeps everything very close to the vest, but we are now in the week that he is going to decide where he wants to play college football. And I think every single fan base is a buzz. I think every single fan base thinks that they're going to get him. They have a reason. They know someone that knows someone that said that they heard that Jordan Burch is going to go to his or her school. What are you hearing about 5-star defensive end Jordan Birch?
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it, man. You look at these 5 schools, and you have South Carolina, Clemson, LSU, Georgia, and Alabama. And those are the Final 5, and they've been the Final 5 for a long time now. I don't remember when he sent out that official tweet, but that's sort of been the group. And like you said, I think there is literally some level of confidence in probably the camp of all 5 of those programs. I think if we're going to start sort of kicking teams out and eliminating teams, I think we can at least eliminate Alabama. Now, I think from what Alabama from what I've seen reported on some of their sites, there may even actually be some level of confidence from those guys. But I think we can eliminate Alabama. Jordan Birch hosted coaches from all 5 schools last week. So last week, all 5 head coaches were in Columbia meeting with Jordan Birch and family. That was sort of the final part of the process. Then, this past weekend, much to, I believe, the surprise of probably a couple of other schools, he pops up in Georgia for an official visit. So, interestingly enough, Jordan Birch has taken official visits to Alabama, LSU, and Georgia, has taken multiple unofficials to South Carolina, a few unofficials to Clemson, but did not take official visits to either in-state program, which I believe the decision to pop up in Georgia surprised South Carolina, Clemson, and potentially LSU. Where does all that leave us at this point? Unless Jordan Birch is going to walk in this room right now and tell us, which I believe the chances of that happening
I forgot to text him and tell him which studio we were in.
See, he's probably downstairs right now. But I don't know. I believe, and Chris, you can hop in, I believe we are truly at a situation where this is a recruitment where I don't know if anyone, maybe outside of Jordan Birch and his mother, actually knows. I think some people think they know. I think some schools have been told different things to make them feel pretty good. And as we're recording this at 9:47 a.m. on Tuesday, a little more than 24 hours out of his announcement, which is at 2:30 on Wednesday afternoon, I don't actually know if Jordan Birch knows where he's going, which if I was 18 years old, that would scare me to death.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, and by the way, throw in a little quick, we were doing sort of recruiting education earlier in the show. This is a dead period, but that does not mean there cannot be phone conversations. That's sort of something that always gets misconstrued. Dead period means that you can't visit, a kid can't visit campus, a coach can't visit the kid right now. But there will be an infinite number of phone calls between college coaches and high school prospects in the next 24 hours as they're jockeying for final position on kids. And I tend to believe that the Jordan Birch saga behind closed doors on the telephone right now as we speak is still ongoing, and that if anyone says they know where he's going right now, they are mistaken.
So you don't think it's a done deal that he's not going to Carolina or Clemson just because he didn't take officials there?
No, not at all. Just because, well, he's from Columbia. He's been to South Carolina many, many, many times.
But isn't that a really easy way to indicate your interest? To take an official? I feel like him going to Georgia in an official capacity last weekend was a pretty strong tip of the cap.
Means he's interested, doesn't mean he's going there.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that we, like, there's a lot of things, Wes, you can vouch for this, there's a lot of things we've heard in this recruitment that have turned out to be completely untrue, or just things that people have said that we didn't even hear that you're like, where did they hear that? There's no chance it's true, and it's definitely not true. But one of the things that we do know for sure is we heard, I can't remember when, probably back in the summer, there's a lot of stuff going around in spring or summer about when's Jordan going to commit. Will he do something this summer? We make an early commitment. And we heard pretty strongly that it was going to be December, and that they were going to see the entire process through. And so while it was not ideal for, say, South Carolina to have him go to Georgia last weekend, you would have much rather gotten him on your campus for an official and unofficial whatever. Really, the only difference in the official is, it's an official like 48-hour time frame, and you can pay for a meal, whatever. Not a huge difference with Jordan Birch. With some kids, it might be. So it would have been better for South Carolina. I'm not diminishing the value of Georgia getting that last official, but I saw it as almost more of just a way to finish out the process. I mean, he had been to Georgia during the season. He went there in July for a social event, but it was more of, he's been to Clemson. He hasn't been there since July at all, right? South Carolina, he's been to a bunch of times, whether it's during the season, 3 weekends in a row in the summer, couple games during the season. Even the Georgia game he went to, he watched South Carolina play and win. And so, I think it was a little bit more of, okay, take this final trip to Georgia. We're still not sure. Make sure. How did it go? And all indications are it went very well, and it threw a wrench into things. But I didn't look at that, especially in this recruitment, say, okay, that means he's going to Georgia. I just don't. I don't think you make that leap at all. See, because you could also say, where has he been the most? Which coaches have gotten the most face time with him, and that's South Carolina, and it's not even close, But does that mean he's definitely 100% going to South Carolina either? No, it hasn't meant that necessarily.
So it's South Carolina, Georgia, and LSU at this point, honestly, realistically?
I don't know if I would ever completely count Clemson out either.
Even though I hadn't been there since July?
Yeah, I mean, not that I'm saying I think he's going there, but
of those four, because it sounds like, like you said earlier, Alabama's maybe out. Of those four, then, would Clemson surprise you the most?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. It's also really, really tough for me to see them going all the way to LSU because of the distance factor, but I do know that they really love LSU. Ed Orgeron, the visit was like a really good one. They really loved the idea of LSU.
I think if LSU was like in Athens, then
might be going there.
I honestly think he might have committed to LSU earlier this season. Like I feel like he's always, not always, but you heard a lot of buzz about LSU.
Yeah.
Really during the season, and
I committed to LSU this summer, and it paid off.
I don't know. It's been strange, and I took the Georgia visit not necessarily as he's going to Georgia. I took the Georgia visit as more confirmation that he's torn and still looking for the right place. I think if he was set on Georgia, I don't think he puts it on his Snapchat, honestly, after sort of being secretive about everything, all recruiting process. Then you put it on your very public Snapchat. It's not like something all of his friends see. Anybody can look at the thing. And you put it on there and sort of, I don't think you tip your hand. I don't think that it's some big conspiracy either. I think he was just, I think you're still taking that visit because you're not sold. A lot of people thought he was definitely going to South Carolina the last couple of weeks. I don't think he was completely sold on that. I think Georgia was like, hey, let's go take another look at Georgia and see, if this is where I want to go. I think the kid is truly trying to figure it out, and all of us are truly trying to speculate with limited information on what's going to happen. And the fun and frustrating thing about recruiting and following it and covering it is that it's very, very fluid. So somebody may get ripped for information they post on one day and say, "Oh, well, you were incorrect." Well, they might have been completely correct when they said it, but then it might have changed within the hour. And this is like, Chris and I talk about this a lot. This is like true big boy recruiting at this point. Like, you're South Carolina, you're battling with Clemson, who has won 2 of the last 3 national championships. You're battling with Alabama, even though we think they're probably out, who obviously is your modern-day dynasty. You're battling with LSU, who's the number 1 team in the country right now. You're battling with Georgia, who has won the East how many times in a row and played in a national title 2 years ago. So you're battling with 4 teams that are either about to play in the college football playoff or have played in the college football playoff within the last couple of years. So you are truly in big boy recruiting. And one thing we've kind of tried to condition our subscribers to sort of notice and realize is that even for Alabama, for Georgia, for your big boy Ohio State, they have to battle for guys to the very, very end too. They have to jockey for position. So if you're South Carolina, the kid's in Columbia. Yeah, Jackson Muschamp is right there at his school, but also you're coming off a 4-8 season battling with programs that have had big years. So, I think you're talking about an all-out final recruiting, war to land Jordan Burch. And I think it's still ongoing, and I think it could go any number of ways. And, guys, it may be still going in the minutes up until his announcement. So if anyone had actual behind-the-scenes access to this, it would make a great, 30 for 30 at this point.
I was going to say, so y'all are recruiting experts. I'm just curious third party, but really who we need talking about this is a novelist, a documentarian, and a psychologist, because this is, I don't know. Here's the real question, though. This is the real question that no one's asking, except for me. And this is where my being just a third party comes in handy. How good is Jordan Burch?
I think he's really good.
Yeah?
I think the potential is through the roof. He's
not Jadeveon Clowney. Because no one is.
Everybody's got to stop that. I'm not saying. I know you're not bringing it up, but every time there's a good D lineman, how good is he compared to Clowney? The answer is always not as good.
Yeah,
I don't care who it is.
Listening to Mike Bobo talk about Clowney in the press conference yesterday was amazing.
Yeah,
and we're going to get to that. Is he as good or better or worse than Zach Pickens?
I think the potential is there, but I think he's very, very different.
Yeah, totally different player.
Different player. Yeah. I think he's a true. So some people are convinced even Jordan ends up possibly as more of an interior type guy. I think he's an edge guy. I think you'll actually see him drop a little bit of weight first when he gets to college and gets in the strength conditioning program. I think he's an edge rusher. I think the first step, just if you look at the guy that's that big and can run like that, you go after him, because that's what everybody is looking for. Past that, how well he does in college is going to completely depend on Jordan Burch,
But he's every bit as worth the hype there's been more hype around him than anyone I can remember since Clowney or Lattimore.
Yeah, well, I think some of that is the high ranking. I think some of that is just the fact that everybody is intrigued by. I was thinking about this last night when we were on our way back from the Shrine Bowl. At this point, it's kind of like if you're watching a mystery, you just want to know how it ends at this point.
Y'all seen Knives Out yet?
No.
Oh, you have to. It's a mystery.
But, I think at this point you're just like, I want to see how the story ends, what's going to happen here. And
we'll find out tomorrow at 2:30?
We should.
Should find out. Yeah.
Here and the
Wednesday
thing,
at 2:30.
You've already hit on this a little bit, Wes. But even if a staff, whoever it may be, is told by all the relevant parties, it's happening, it's done. This is where we're committing to. This is where we're signing. That staff is still going to be like, let's tune in. Just because of how this one has gone. That's sort of the reality of it.
Wow.
Fun stuff.
Jordan Burch. Are y'all enjoying this, or is it stressing you out? Wes seems like he's enjoying it. Chris, are you enjoying it?
This one's been stressful. Yeah, this one's been it's been one of the more for me probably one of the more difficult
probably
ones.
Get another prospect like this for another 10 years. This is kind of unusual,
maybe not.
Right? Someone
we don't
that's
know.
This high caliber that Carolina's in the mix with, so it's worth y'all covering it, and that has just been so inscrutable in terms of the entirety of the process. I feel like Wes is about to write a book.
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah. That's all those factors combined. He's in state. Mm-hmm. He goes to a school that Muschamp has ties to. He's a 5-star. He's a D lineman. You're battling all these programs. Yeah, all the big boys, and then on top of that, it's super quiet, and it's hard to get. So
it's just such an odd mix. But so you're more stressed by it than excited by it. Although you're the writer, you're going to be the one that writes a book about it the other day. Wes is the one that's going to read the book. He's going to buy your first copy because you seem just thrilled by this.
We'll co-write it.
Are you more excited than stressed out by this?
At this point, yeah, I'm just like, let's see what happens. Cool. I'm excited. I'm excited to be there. I'm really honestly excited to see what the buzz is like in the gym. I'm glad it's in. This is completely selfishly. I'm glad it's at Hammond instead of Florence because I live 5 minutes from Hammond. So I'm excited, man. It'll be fun to see it come to a close as well. But that's every signing day. I enjoy signing day, but also there's nothing better in this job than the night of signing day.
We need to sleep.
Ooh, it's over.
Yeah.
But hey, there's more storylines for signing day as well.
Right, yeah. So we're going to run through a list
Jordan
of these other guys of uncommitted targets that hopefully South Carolina will ink. I don't think these will all take 30 minutes to talk about. Next up on the list that I have here is Jaheim Bell.
Yeah, Jaheim deciding between Oklahoma, Florida State. I think the short answer is that the Gamecocks have been in really good shape for a long time. I think the short answer is that we still feel good about that. We in agreement there, Chris?
We are in agreement.
Okay. I guess we'll go ahead and say we will have coverage of the announcement. So, yeah, I think that'll be a good thing for the Gamecocks. And he's a good player, very athletic.
So what kind of player is Jaheim Bell?
He's sort of your modern-day kind of hybrid tight end. He's a guy that's not your traditional, 260-pound tight end.
He's not Chandler Farrell?
No, he is not. You can move him around. He's going to catch the football, good ball skills, athletic. And really, I think the interesting thing there is you've got some versatility with Jaheim and then Eric Shaw, both of which could play a number of positions. Eric, like Chris said, has been outstanding at the All-Star game out there in Alabama-Mississippi game, and he could potentially play some outside linebacker, maybe some buck. Shaw could. So I think bringing in Bell, who's also a versatile guy, you can sort of, I guess, pick where those guys fit in the best.
So, is he going to be Jared Cook / Busta Anderson? Is he like a little bit closer to what Kyle Markway did just in terms of being a balanced guy, or is he going to be more of a true pass catcher, do you think?
I would say I think he's more of a pass catcher type guy. I don't know if Chris wants to fight me on that
it's hard to, he's different body type than those first two you mentioned. He's a little bit.
He's more of a 6'3".
Yeah, he's 6'3", 210.
Like a Casey Crosby kind of tight end?
Yeah, but he's a little bit, even a different type of body type than KC. A little bit more of that H-back like type. He could play inline, but he's a guy that you put out as sort of an H-back or you put him in the slot. He could probably go and just straight up play receiver in some situations, which when you're putting him in the slot as a tight end, he sort of is that, but he can go out there on the edge and block for you. Like athletically, he's good enough to where if somebody said, hey, go play linebacker or something, like he could do it. I think he's that good of an athlete, and he was having a really good season this past year, his senior year, before he unfortunately got hurt. But, just really good route runner, good ball skills, guy who's got some dangerous ability in the open field, and he's a mismatch problem. Like you think of, not same body type as this guy either, but you think about how Florida uses Kyle Pitts, and he's a guy that they can put in the slot, and he can create a lot of one-on-one matchup problems for you. And I think if you use Jaheim Bell in that sort of way, that he could do some similar things in the passing game.
Next guy on the list, and you already touched on him a little bit, Wes, Malik Heath, wide receiver, balance, speed, possession.
Oh, I don't know. I think with Malik, probably, I think we agreed, Chris, a little bit of a long shot. We're going to keep, I guess, checking on him, but Mississippi State's been the spot for a long time. He signed with them out of high school, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so he signed with them. They placed him at JUCO. That's sort of been the place he was headed, but Florida has gotten heavily involved. South Carolina has sort of quietly remained involved, and, we'll see. I plan on trying to touch base with him and seeing sort of what his plan is for Wednesday. But I'd say a little bit of a long shot, but at least you got a guy to keep an eye on Wednesday.
All right, I have one more guy in the uncommitted targets category that is expected to sign during the early signing period. Let me know if I need to add someone to this list, but the last one I have is Reggie Grimes.
Yes, Reggie currently committed to Oklahoma. Looks like he's going to wait until February. We'll be continuing to track that as well. I believe Oklahoma will probably make one last push to try to get him to go ahead and sign. So, again, some of these situations are fluid, but at least on what's being said right now, it's that he's going to wait till February, which I think I think it helps South Carolina, obviously, because if it was Wednesday, it would be Oklahoma. I also think, Chris, I think this guy also could be a guy that once everything settles and everybody looks at their classes, they may say, oh, this is a 6'5", 240-pound defensive end. Other schools may circle back because once the original signing day hits, the value of who's left over can sometimes rise considerably if a school did not hit their needs the first time around. So I think on paper, yes, this could really help South Carolina that he waits, but also I wouldn't be surprised if some other schools didn't sort of jockey into this conversation as well.
Yeah, I mean, FSU had him in for a visit already, but I could see, like Ole Miss is one that's had involvement, with Kiffin in town now and him revamping his coaching staff. Do they try to get another look? I don't get the feel that Alabama really takes another look. It just seems like, really they're recruiting Phillip Webb, who I think last we heard was more likely for LSU, but really their edge rush board is sort of full right now. So, yeah, you're exactly right. The market sort of value increases for a lot of these guys, and then things can get really interesting in January because then you got another contact period. You got phone calls, you got official visit possibilities, you got contact period where coaches can go out and visit. So it could get even more interesting. But if he does indeed wait, then South Carolina would sort of, I think, almost automatically become maybe even the front runner. I mean, if he waits, I really think that opens the door a lot.
Two more uncommitted targets for Carolina that aren't expected to sign in the early signing period. I think they have February timelines, and you already touched on both of them earlier. Henry Parrish and Ja'Cory Caldwell. Are those guys that Carolina is going to try to hold spots for until February, or is it the kind of thing where if they fill up this class in the early signing period, then those two guys are on the outside looking in?
No, I think, especially, I think actually both those guys, they would love to have them in the class. I already have a prediction in for South Carolina with Ja'Cory Caldwell. South Carolina survived a visit to Baylor this past weekend, which was actually an important visit for him. They were sort of the first to jump in with an offer, and he likes their coach a lot, likes their offense, stuff like that. But I would feel pretty comfortable saying South Carolina ends up landing Caldwell.
Especially if Matt Rule takes the Cowboys job, which I've heard floated around some NFL circles.
That would definitely impact things. And then, he's going to visit South Carolina in January. They'll get the last visit. I think that's by design. This is your classic in-state guy that was wanting an offer from South Carolina, got it. And, I think that one's pretty straightforward. Chris, you want to hit on Henry Parrish? Do you think Henry Parrish is a guy that South Carolina fans should still be paying attention to? Yep. Or do you think it's more of a super long shot?
I mean, it was the way that it sort of happened is, he took an official visit to Columbia in the summer and things looked great for Carolina. But the problem was, he wanted to wait to actually announce it. Okay. And so then you always get, okay, well, why? And you got to work through that. But as time went on, with him being a Miami guy, he kept picking up more offers. The in-state schools kept digging around a little bit, and their momentum was sort of lost a little bit. It's tougher to get a guy like that back to your campus consistently because he already took his official. And so I think the chances started going down there a little bit. Then he was another one that we had been told directly was impacted a little bit by some of the fallout with the presidential comments and all that sort of. That was another aspect of it. So I think you combine those two things. So the feel right now is he's a little bit of a longer shot, but I think with him waiting until February, he's going to fall in that category that Wes was talking about of, all right, how does the board fall for everybody? Because Florida, they've got a couple guys on the board at running back. They've got a few guys, rather. Parrish is one of them, but there may be some guys that are a little bit higher right now. So will they land one of those? If so, then maybe he's not on their board. Then you got Mike Norvell at FSU. He's been recruiting Parrish too. Miami's, a little in the mix. Ole Miss just jumped in with Lane Kiffin. South Carolina's still out there. They're still recruiting him actively. But I think there are just a lot of questions right now with where that one may go. And I don't think it'll be sorted out yet. And another thing, I mean, like Wes said, you're not going to take 4 running backs in the class. You got 2 right now with Marshawn Lloyd, Rashad Amos. And then you got to look at the fact of, you got Zaquandre Wright out there. There's still some questions there. He won't sign until February. Then you got Parrish. So He's still a guy that you track. He's a longer shot right now, but could things change? Sure. You might have some changes there, and he's still worth tracking.
And he's a freaking difference maker.
Yeah, he's a good player. Yeah, so
there you go. If you want to monitor that, GamecockCentral.com. That's the place to do it. If you're not a subscriber and you want to be for this busy time of year with basketball and recruiting and everything, you can use the exclusive podcast code GCPod to get a month for free, or y'all have great deals on annual subscriptions right now, right, Wes?
Yes, absolutely. Shoot, man, we'll just give them all the options right now.
Here's the buffet of Gamecock Central subscription
options. Just come on board
options.
however you get in the door. We're going to give you many passwords to get in the door. Use any of them. We don't care. Just come join us. First, GC Pod, that's 30 days free, right? That's if you're not sure yet. You want to check us out first. But the problem with that is that you don't get any of these other two deals if you go ahead and burn your code now. I would suggest using one of these other two codes because then you get in the door for longer and you get a great discount. First being, just type in Gamecocks. That's the team you pull for. It's easy to remember. You get 50% off your annual subscription, so you're paying $49.95 as opposed to $99.95. And then I think if you otherwise want to get some free gear for Christmas, maybe for Christmas present, maybe for yourself, you can just use the code Nike. And with the Nike code, you get 25% off the annual subscription. So you're talking about $75. And you get sent an e-gift card to Nike, Nike.com. Actually works at Converse.com if that's more your flavor as well. And you get $75 there. So it's evening out to zero. So you have options here. GC Pod is 30 days. Gamecocks is 50% off. Nike is 25% off, but with a $75 gift card to Nike.
And Chris liked the Converse part of that. He just perked up.
That was intriguing.
Dog.
Yeah.
I feel like you should
learn something new today. I might sign. I mean, I get a free subscription. I'm an employee. I might sign up for the thing.
It is a great deal. So
just to support Wes.
That's the best place to keep up with everything going on during early signing period, during National Signing Day. Spring is like just around the corner. At Mike Bobo's press conference yesterday,
he starts like February
26th. Yeah. So spring is right around the corner.
No breaks.
Basketball's in full swing. So yeah, check out GamecockCentral.com and also subscribe to the Gamecock Central Podcast Network because we do this every week. Colin Taylor and I have started doing the as yet untitled South Carolina basketball project, which I'm leaning cockblock because someone suggested that on TIF, and I thought that was phenomenal. Title's still pending, and we are taking suggestions.
That's
but
pretty good,
we're going to be recording one of those later this afternoon as well, and the podcast is free. So rate, review, subscribe to that to make sure you get it. And before we get out of here,
our special on Wednesday is free as well.
Our special
show.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to plug. Before we get into a few 4 eyeball evaluations here tomorrow, as I mentioned at the top of the show, 107.5 The Game is the place, as well as Gamecock Central. It's a great collab. We like collabing, clearly. 9 to noon tomorrow on 107.5 The Game. Gamecock Central takeover, early signing day extravaganza. Wes, Chris, me, Pearson, Bill Gunner. I don't know why Bill's there. He's kind of crashing our party. We got a good thing going. He's totally gonna mess with our vibe, but I guess we'll do our best to make it work. But yeah, be sure to tune in to 107.5 tomorrow, 9 to noon, and just like all day, because it's going to be a lot of stuff. But y'all are going to be on 9 to noon.
Should I tell them about our first guest?
Yeah, tell them about the first guest. We'll reward the people that stuck it out through all this.
Through all this? Yes.
Yeah.
I would say he's the face of the class. You always got to have a quarterback. We had Ryan Helinski last year.
Yep.
We have our boy Luke Doty already locked in, sealed, delivered. He's calling in.
It's done.
It's a done deal.
What time?
AKA Dotes McGoats.
We'll see what time. I think it's going to be first hour.
Okay. I just need to know because I'm going to have to call him because I'm going to be running the board.
Oh yeah, I think maybe 9:15 or so. Okay. But we're still working out those details.
Mr. Football, Luke Doty.
Mr. Football,
Lucas
Doty.
H. Doty.
Yes.
I give everyone random middle initials like Joseph A. Burrow.
There you go. But yeah, it'll be fun. We'll probably have some other guys on as well, but that I feel very comfortable about that one actually happening. So we're gonna promote that one.
Looking forward to that. Awesome. All right, before we get out of here, y'all both got your 2 sets of eyeballs, and neither of you wear glasses. So 4 eyeball evaluation on the Shrine Bowl. What'd you see? Who'd you like?
Yeah, we got to check out practice yesterday, and it was actually
It was riveting stuff.
Well, as the Shrine Bowl practices go, based on past couple years' experience, it was actually a better practice than typical Monday practice at Shrine Bowl. There have been some real yawners the past couple years. But we did get to see some guys. I mean, Jakari Caldwell was one that we both watched pretty closely from Northwestern, given that South Carolina fairly recently offered and want to add him to this class. He's a guy that's got some length to him and, has good hands, really did a nice job in the 7-on-7 period. Had some good battles with Andrew Phillips out of Malden, who's going to Kentucky. Made some things happen. So, he's a guy that, not a burner, has a little bit more of like long type of speed. But he's an intriguing guy, and I think he's gotten a lot better, maybe from sophomore to junior and junior to senior year, and an intriguing option for the Gamecocks there. So I thought he looked good. Tonka Hemingway, I thought, had a good day. Gamecock commitment out of Conway. He's, a three-sport athlete that I think when he focuses on football only and is really dedicated in the weight room to football training only and is able to settle on a specific weight that they want to get him at, he's capable of playing inside or outside. Trey Jones moved around really well on the offensive line. Tyshawn Wanamaker, huge. Lower body, absolutely huge. Those are really the main guys I think that we watch. Who else did we see up there?
Well, I tell you, non-Gamecock related, Mason Garcia, quarterback.
Yeah, he was impressive.
Carolina Forest, dude can sling
Brother
it.
of Steven. That's not true.
I think that's not true. I think a guy that probably if in another world maybe would have had some other offers and has a big time arm, is a kid that can get it done and is currently committed to ECU, but I think some other schools are still sniffing around there, and he's a very high upside guy. Let's see. I mean that's about it. I think you hit all the committed guys that we were watching there on the South Carolina side.
So I wanted to get y'all's assessments of some of those Carolina guys at the Shrine Bowl because it was the last opportunity for you to change your mind about my next question, not including the guys that Carolina is still targeting but have not yet committed, not including Jordan Birch, Jaheim Bell, Malik Heath, Reggie Grimes, Henry Parrish, Jakari Caldwell. And let's just take out Marshawn Lloyd because he's the 5-star guy. Which prospect that's committed to Carolina right now, or that you feel very good about the fact that he will commit to South Carolina in the next 3 days, is going to end up being the gem of the class? And again, I'm taking out Marshawn Lloyd because he's the only 5-star. That's the obvious answer. Who's going to be the best guy from the 2020 class for South Carolina?
You took out Lloyd?
Yeah.
And
Wait,
you said
the 2019 class. This is 2019.
2020. And you said already committed?
Yeah, I mean, just the guys that are actually going to be here. We're not talking about long shots, Birch, Bell, Heath, Grimes, Parrish, guys that are still up in the air, Caldwell.
I'll take Luke Doty.
So he's the real deal?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm admittedly somewhat biased, but yeah.
Because y'all are related?
No, but I would bet everybody's not related.
In South Carolina, they are. You just got to look.
I would bet on Luke and feel good about it.
Okay.
I already know who Chris is going.
I hope you have
with.
a more exciting answer than our friend Wes here.
No, I had two guys come to mind.
He's going to say
sort of
Eric Shaw.
Yeah, I thought about Kaba. I've always liked Kaba a lot.
That's
yeah.
Because I think Kaba could end up being a dude.
Real rangy linebacker type, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, like a Jared Davis type who, Muschamp recruited to Florida. He was like a 3-star type out of Georgia. Ended up being a first-round pick. Not putting that on Kaba, just saying, really athletic dude. Yeah, I might have to pick Shaw, man, because when you look at this guy, like he's 6'5" or so, and, 210, 215, he can get a lot bigger if they want him to. He could legitimately play buck or defensive end and be really good, or he could play tight end and be really good. He's got almost 11-inch hands. If he stays at tight end, out of the tight ends that were drafted last year, I mean, he had, like the first 10 that were taken, he had bigger hands than like 9 out of 10 of them. So, and those kind of things can count. He can really run. He's physical. I think he's got a huge upside. I mean, he's an athletic freak. So I think, when you're looking at it, I think you bet on athleticism and stuff a lot. So I'd probably pick him.
All right. Last two things here. Current football team. Mike Bobo was introduced at a very long press conference yesterday. Maybe, I don't know this for sure, but maybe the longest press conference for anybody since Will Muschamp got to South Carolina. Anybody on the football staff. Obviously, that's mostly Will Muschamp. Impressions? Anything that caught your eye from Bobo's introductory press conference yesterday?
I mean, the thing that caught my eye, besides the length, was he was really frank about everything, you know, and I thought that was pretty cool because, and I wasn't surprised by it. That's sort of his personality. He's also been a head coach, so when he talks, he talks like a head coach. You know, he sort of gives, but he says what's on his mind, and so I just thought some of the things that he talked about in terms of he really, you could tell he was, you know, making a point to address the fact of we're not going to line up in some scheme just because I think it's cool or something. You know, I mean, he even addressed that. He said, look, I had to change, you know, and maybe in the past I would call plays or I'd scheme up things because I believed in them and maybe my players couldn't execute them as well. And so he laid some of that out. One thing that's sort of sticking with me just talking through this is when he talked about Ryan Helinski and how he's got to get fundamentally better. Mm-hmm. And I think we all saw that, but for him to just say it, and he said, I feel comfortable talking about it because I've talked with Ryan about it. You know, and just saying they had a long way to go and just all those types of things. I think there was a lot of honesty, and he was just really frank about everything.
I would say the belief in Muschamp and the comment, I'm paraphrasing, about, you know, I'm going to a place that I plan to be for a long time. I think we all know about the fact that after 4-8 that people are upset. They want to see more. There is a hot seat, and we all know that. And you know, Mike Bobo knows that, but there's some really baseline inner confidence there, I feel like, for a guy to say, I'm walking into this situation and I feel comfortable about it, and I had some other options, but this is where I want to be. And I think if you're a Carolina fan, you know, that doesn't lead to wins, that doesn't lead to points, but that's important. It was important to have a guy that still 100% believed in the staff and believed he could win here. And that's what caught my eye about Mike Bobo.
I like listening to him talk about that 2012 Georgia game from the Georgia sideline perspective, being scared of Clowney. And at one point he even said, I think we, the coaches, were so afraid of Clowney that it made the players afraid of Clowney. Mm-hmm. And talking about how, you know, tried to chip him, tried to do all these other things that didn't matter. And I think about one play, because I actually watched that game again this summer just because it's fun. It's like one of the most, oh my gosh, like just dominant performance from that entire defense.
Is that game on YouTube?
Clowney. Yeah.
In entirety?
And, you know, just plays where they're throwing running backs at him. And there's one play, I don't remember who the running back for Georgia was in 12, but like dives at Clowney's knees, and Clowney just straight hurdles him and then just goes and, like, you know, rips Aaron Murray's head off, or I guess it was Aaron Murray. So that was cool. Yeah, and then the little anecdote about how thick the glass is in the press box, which is funny because when we sit in the press box, the part where we sit, they normally open like the top part of the window so you can hear outside, but I guess in the coaches' sides of it, you can't hear anything. And Bobo was talking to his assistants on the sideline and being like, wow, it looks loud down there, but I can't hear it because of this glass. And he was like, whatever assistant who he was talking to, I don't remember, said, you know, it's a jungle down here or something like that, which is a good anecdote. Last thing before we get out of here, this is a packed-ass podcast. The Board of Trustees is expected to approve a new football contract for the strength and conditioning coach. And we played coy with it a little bit last week, but I think it is not a stretch at this point. I saw it on the front page of GamecockCentral.com this morning, but I think it's fair to say that his name rhymes with Joel Paxson. Is that fair?
We'll leave it there. Yeah. You have a great day.
See ya.
Paul Jackson, former Ole Miss strength and conditioning coach, director of strength and conditioning, however you want to say it. But yeah, expected to be approved. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, he'll be approved. But I think once signing day gets over with, there'll be plenty more we can sort of dive into as far as what he brings to the table, his approach, stuff like that. I thought it was interesting. Generally, when a coach survives through a head coaching change, to me that sort of means a lot. He's been at Ole Miss for the last 2 coaching regimes, and I think was a guy that really it seemed like he became the focus of the search. I would say fairly early, and the smoke has been around him for probably the last week plus. It's just been a matter of like getting it finished and getting it to a point where we felt like we were completely comfortable reporting it, and we of course did that this morning. But yeah, I think a hire where, again, going back to the situation there before, I think it was time for a change. I think the guys needed a new voice, and we'll see if he can be that. I'm not going to sit here and just say he's the best strength coach in the world, because I'm still learning about him, and we'll see. I'm sort of wait and see, but obviously SEC experience. He's a guy that's done it at this level. Has energy. Almost all strength coaches do. So
y'all saw what DK Metcalf looked like before the draft. He's going to do that to all Carolina's players. Confirmed. But yeah, we'll save that. We're, I think, going to reconvene after the early signing period to do a recap. At that point, we will know a little bit more. And if not, we'll have plenty of time to talk about it. But that is expected to be approved. Again, as you mentioned, Wes, by the time you're listening to this, y'all may already know the details. So we're recording this at 10. We're wrapping this at 10:26 on Tuesday morning. And with that, I want to remind you again, tune into the Gamecock Central Takeover Early Signing Day Extravaganza on 107.5 The Game tomorrow from 9 until noon. Read GamecockCentral.com. Rate, review, subscribe to this podcast. That's a great way to support it. We really appreciate you listening, and we will talk to you soon.